and Hawkeye, the next episode, and the Beatles and their documentary, Get Back. And so let's start off with Love Hard on Netflix.
Sure, dating has never really been easy, but modern dating online is even harder. I keep thinking that my perfect match has to be out there, just one click away. Someone kind and honest, someone that doesn't already have a wife. I met someone. I think this might be the real deal.
Really, there's only one con.
What?
You've never seen him.
They really love Christmas.
Surprise!
Well, I didn't set out to catfish you. It just kind of happened. I can help you get him.
You're gonna set me up with Ted?
Yes, you guys will be in love by New Year's. Have a baby by next Thanksgiving.
Little lovebirds. Your engagement announcement. It's gonna be in the Gazette tomorrow.
David, why don't you start off with it?
Well, this is your kind of your classic rom-com, mistaken identities. It's the plot of every Three's Company episode.
Yeah,
it really is. But a very entertaining film that does ask, and I want us to make sure we get to this conversation before we go on to the next show. But it also asks us the very important question that splits the country. Is Die Hard really a Christmas movie? And my answer is yes. But before we go any further, really fun film. I enjoyed the families. I love the story, even though it was incredibly predictable. It was a great use of today's technology with catfishing and all the apps and everything. This was a lot of fun. It wasn't overly surprising. I didn't laugh out loud hard in places, but it was a sweet, cute film, and I thought the leads were really did a wonderful job in this.
Pat, what did you think?
It was okay. Really, I didn't hate it. I mean, I thought that the characters were fun, but you know what? I've seen this movie before. You've seen this movie before. That was You've Got Mail. It was Sleepless in Seattle, and it was about every damn high school movie I'd ever seen where you fall in love with the wrong person and your social group's telling you not to do this. And at the end, they somehow overcome the stigma of the cliche and, they find the right person who just happens to be in the other clique. It was so predictable. It was so... like I said, it wasn't bad. I didn't hate it, but there was nothing that made me go, "Wow, I wish I paid money to see that because that would really help that director." It was very cliched. It was incredibly tired. It was just like I said, like every high school movie, every rom-com, every Tom Hanks and Sally, what's her face, movie that I've ever seen. It was nothing new, nothing exciting.
That's why we sandwich Pat in the middle. I love this.
I'm the meat in this sandwich, okay? The bread is just the bread. You guys just carved.
In the middle.
Here I am. I'm the protein.
So I thought it was fun. I thought it was
really
interesting. I thought it was a great entry into a millennial type of Christmas movie, similar to The Happiest Season last year. That kind of deals with their kind of unique kind of struggles. And I think that there were several parts where I laughed out loud, just because, but there were several parts that were very poignant. I didn't realize how much Jimmy O Yang, the lead Josh, he's a great actor. I think he has a really great career ahead of him in acting. He's great in stand-up. His stand-up is on Amazon Prime. Take a look at that because it's super funny too. But you really felt for him in this movie. And yeah, sure, it's a similar thing to a lot of other movies. But I thought it had a fresh take. And I thought the freshest take was the redo of Baby It's Cold Outside. I thought that was really creative and inventive, the way they kind of changed the lyrics around on that song for the 21st century. Personally, I love the song just the way it is. I always thought it was a cute little flirty, cute song, but some people just don't. But the way they changed the words around, super funny.
Yep.
And but I thought it was a great millennial movie because You Got Mail and Sleepless in Seattle, or what, 25 years ago?
Well, I mean, but they did the same thing. They took,
so things come back. But I think what was the really great message was the line, "Love doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be honest." And I think that is a great message to put out there about online dating and everything that's going on in the electronic age of dating apps and what people are experiencing. Because my girlfriends and male friends are having a time on these apps, boy. So it's really cute. It's really fun. It's something the family can enjoy. It's got a little bit of raciness in there, not a lot, and not a lot of. It has some cuss words, but not like
Not bad.
Die Hard. So let's talk about, is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not? Of course it is. He's bringing gifts. He's in the snow. It's at literally Christmas time. So
You have a Christmas Carol.
Yeah, you have a Christmas
I
Carol.
want to
Building
disagree,
and
and I'm
The
going to disagree.
building is dressed for Christmas.
I'm going to
The
disagree. It's an action film that just happens to happen at Christmas. The Christmas is so not central to it.
No,
It's so
it's
not central to
but
it.
this is.
It's just incidentally, it's like if that movie had happened at Easter and they had an Easter party, would I get an Easter movie? No, it'd still be an action movie that just happened at Easter. Whereas this is a action movie. Just
Bruce
happened to happen
Willis
at
has
Christmas.
said it's a Christmas movie. So I don't know. It sounds like
It's not. I enjoy it, and I love Die Hard because Die Hard's a great action movie that makes no bones about being an action movie.
And Alan Rickman is one of the all-time greatest villains.
Yes. He's good
in this. I mean,
Hans
he's
Gruber.
just mwah.
Yep.
So I think we can 2 out of 3 agree it's a Christmas movie. An old Grinch in the middle.
I'll be a Grinch.
Yeah.
I ain't mad. I ain't mad.
So, okay, so definitely check out Love Hard. I think you'll enjoy it. And I do a review of it on my channel with the ALDI Wine and Cheese calendar. So definitely check it out and subscribe to our channel. Okay, next up is the Marvel Edition entry. Next entry, Hawkeye. Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, pew, pew.
Pew, pew.
Look, I know this may sound weird, but I've dreamed of this for as long as I can remember.
Wait. We're out of regular arrows.
What do you mean? Oh my god, trick arrows?
Definitely not this one.
All right, you don't have to say
Not this
definitely like
one.
that. A plunger arrow? What is a trick that is completely useless?
When I put that suit on, I thought, this is it. This is the moment I become who I'm supposed to be.
I remember the day I thought the same thing.
You need a more recognizable costume.
My job for the last 20 years was to be not recognizable, right?
Well, you've officially failed at that.
Oh, okay. Who wants to go first? Let's start with Pat.
Okay. I loved it. I mean, this is shaping up to be a wonderful buddy comedy, is what it is, with action, lots of great action. Um, there was several nods to some things like the Hawkeye costume she was about to draw was the classic Hawkeye costume in the comics, super and purple too, and and I did enjoy the little take. And the thing that I thought was really interesting is how we are really dealing with Hawkeye's hearing loss, throughout this whole thing, because the dude's had stuff blow up next to him for the past 20 years, like he says. People shooting guns right by his head, people blowing buildings up and dropping, atomic bombs and whatever, space bombs or whatever. So he's his hearing would be damaged unless he's a god or wearing an iron suit, maybe. But totally wonderful. I really enjoy the chemistry between the two of those, between Hawkeye and his protege. There's some real fun chemistry. Like I said, it's kind of a Lethal Weapon feel. You got the tired veteran who's working with this kind of hothead that just, oh my God, I'm too old for this shit kind of thing, basically, you got the Danny Glover moment kind of going on there. But I loved it. I mean, it's really good. I'm a little sad it's only 6 episodes. I'll be real honest. I think they could do more with it. They may do more with it. In fact, I suspect they're going towards building the Young Avengers, in upcoming season. We talked about this a little bit last week, and you're really seeing they're kind of heading towards that. So good stuff. I mean, definitely an A for me.
Okay, I'm gonna go next. Still not into it yet.
Oh my God, Pam.
I know. But something about this story is not quite clicking for me yet. Although the fighting scene this time, primo action this time. Really good fight scene, really good action going on. I mean, but kind of like in the clip when he's like flipping in the air and then it slows down and then he shoots from wherever to her bounce, her wrist being bound. I was like, that was a little hokey, but I don't know what it is about this one that I am just not connecting with. And usually, sometimes that happens, and then I, keep going over. I watched it a couple times, but it gets up like a B for me. But go ahead, David. Talk about what you think.
Well, and I think maybe kind of we're in the sandwich here. Good, good. I like it. I think Pat's comment about Hawkeye his battles with his hearing loss, to me, is a really important piece.
Yeah.
We don't talk, we don't have a lot of heroes who are facing disabilities, who need reasonable accommodations because they're otherworldly in some ways. That's a human aspect of this. The contrast with the kind of the villain or villainess, if you will, at the beginning, and her kind of growing up and being deaf and seeing that. I like that. I do think there's a good chemistry between the leads. And this particular episode, it didn't grab me, and I don't know if that was just more of a lack of sleep trying to take care of my 8-month-old puppy who's up all hours of the night and doing all kinds of stuff. But I do like the chemistry between the two, and I like this show. I think they are going to pass the baton on. I could have used a few more episodes, but I guess they're thinking, well, with holiday parties and whatnot, maybe we only need just a shorter time for this one.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm hanging in there with it. I just need it to kind of pick up. I need something. Something's not quite gelling for me. But, I get it. I wouldn't say they need to just scratch the whole series at this point or cancel it now. But it'll be interesting to see where they go. I'm still intrigued about where they're going to go.
Just it's looking at where this is now. If I'm not mistaken, Falcon and Winter Soldiers was a six-part series, wasn't it? It was 6 also.
I thought it was 8.
I think it was a little longer. Yeah.
Okay, it might have been 8. So,
this is definitely the shortest of them.
I would say, looking at where this one is versus where Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier was at the same point, midpoint, I think this has done a better narrative going through it without getting bogged down in a lot of extra stuff, rather than Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier. There's a lot of side stories that were kind of going on that kind of detracted from it. And I mean, everybody loved that, but I'm just saying this seems to be very focused on a to B type of narrative, where instead of having all the side narratives like you had in another one, this seems to be a more focused, a little bit more driven type of narrative going on, perhaps. That's why this one's really gelling with me great. I mean, I loved Falcon and Winter Soldier, but there's a lot of weird things going on there. There's a whole bunch of stuff getting thrown in, whereas this is very focused on Hawkeye trying to get this girl to, you know, find the suit, get his past and kind of bury it. It's very focused, whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier was all over the place. They were throwing in, you know, his sister, you know, and the boat problem, and then you know they have the Baron Zemo problem kind of going on, and Sharon Carter going on. I mean, there's a whole bunch of weird stuff thrown in. It was a great narrative, super good characters, and I enjoyed the the first captain, you know, being brought in. I can't remember what his name was now. The Black Captain America. Yeah. You know, I mean, those are great. That was a good storyline. That was central to the whole thing, you know, Sam feeling accepted to it. But the other stuff was kind of just sideshows. Whereas this seems to be going very clearly in a directed way. I don't know. I suspect.
No, but I'm just kind of like, maybe because I did like the journey that Captain America and the Winter Soldier took, and WandaVision, that journey, WandaVision
was all over the place, and it was.
It was.
I mean that's definitely an apples to nuts type of thing, you know. Where
you had from '60s to now, and it kept you intrigued. And this one, I'm just not finding it that intriguing because of, I don't know, maybe it's Hawkeye's character I never kind of really gelled with, but I like the actor, and I like Haley Stanfield, I think that's her name, who plays Kate Bishop. I like her. She's doing a great job. And it's just something not there for me, but it's there for you, and that's cool. And I'm still waiting to see what'll happen next week. So we'll keep watching it and see where, because sometimes the journey is long and winding, but man, you get there and you're excited. So
what a good intro into the next one. It's a long and winding road.
Long and winding, hard days, nights is the Beatles Get Back documentary on Disney Plus. Let's take a look. Road that stretches out ahead on our way back home.
Well, you got something there?
Oh, we got.
Haven't you written anything else?
You know.
My world.
Scaffolding around it. Then we can control all our lights from a panel. We're gonna.
Second verse that I haven't got yet done. Leave a space for the same thing. Mess around here, you know. I'm a golden god.
Just that I never get any, you know, because I'm never in shoe shops.
Do you want me to bring the bloke over?
If you could con somebody into coming with, you know, a selection of black slip-on size 8.
I've got a feeling, I think that everybody knows. Oh yeah.
I got a feeling I wanted to take a nap during this, but I'll go first. I just felt this was the most incomplete thing I have ever seen. It was so much. Now, what I do appreciate, and they had a TV show on NBC called Songland, where they had three pop artists or three different type of artists, and a new person came in to pitch a song that the artist would record. And then they had two musical mentors to help with the process. So I really love that show. And it talked about the whole process of creating a song and hooks and different parts of it. I really enjoy that. And this one, you got to see them during the creative process and getting through it. But it was so draggy, and it was so minutia stuff, and it was just so 6 or 7 hours of it. And now, if you're a Beatles lover and a Beatles fan, you are getting all you need for that. But I just was struggling to get through all of this, so it was a no for me. But if you love the Beatles, you'll love this.
Yeah.
Who's
I
next?
think that's a fair statement. If you love the Beatles, you know, this will really be great for you because it puts you behind the curtain. Me, I'd rather watch this as Spinal Tap. From a rock movie. You know, I think that was a lot more. That was better. You know, and I love, you know, and I like the early Beatles before they got their beards and everything. When they were on Ed Sullivan, when they were still closer to their roots of the rockabilly and Chuck Berry, the influence that they showed before they'd gone to India and tried to find themselves and all of this stuff. So,
but you got to remember, they were super young. I mean, their biggest hits were when they were what? 18, 19, 20, maybe.
Their 20s, early 20s.
Oh, yeah, like early 20s to have worldwide super duper. Nobody had ever been like
unprecedented.
That I mean, that was crazy. Yeah. And so you could get lost in it. So I gave them that's a lot to have to deal with in your early 20s and still, you know, come out on the other side. But keep going, David.
I think that Oscar, he definitely is a Rolling Stones fan.
Yeah,
that was his position on this. He didn't even want me to talk about it. Obviously, you know, I thought it was neat to see. I think just, you know, seeing some from a historical perspective. I think that was a nice piece of history.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's very different than what we've kind of looked at here in terms of actions or action films or whatnot. So it was a different beast. In terms of some of the documentaries we've talked about, I think we've, you know, and I don't know if we did it on this version or what we did back in the summer a year ago when we talked about the Chicago Bulls dynasty.
Oh yeah, last summer.
Last summer. You know, and I think that was actually probably a little bit better done.
Yeah.
Than this one. But it was a great behind the scenes thing. And if you're still alive to remember and love the Beatles, you'll enjoy this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Pat, what you think?
Okay. I'm a Beatles fan. I listen to the Beatles probably weekly, I would tell you, because you really just can't go wrong with the Beatles. It's something everybody likes. Everybody loves their music. I mean, really, for the most part, I would say not. Okay, Pam, you're in the 2%. 98% of America.
You're
making that face. You're making that face
like people are.
You're making the face.
I get it, but I can understand how people like them, and
I loved it. Okay.
To see how much they were influenced, one, by Elvis, because they kept singing Elvis and impersonating Elvis and doing Elvis. But then, two, a lot of blues. How much?
Oh yeah,
very much.
I was going to talk about that. You know, it's very
like the classic kind of R&B music was. Soul and blues was very influential.
That was the part of the book of rock and roll. Absolutely, it affected everybody.
I almost felt like they were trying to compete with the Rolling Stones.
That second one. I
had feelings that was.
Yeah.
Well, they still are.
I mean, and they, well, yeah, everybody. That's one of those It's like Kirk or Picard, or you Beatles or Stones. It's like one of those big dividing lines where you're really for Picard, which is the smart move, and you're really for the Beatles, which is again the smart move. Just saying, and I can defend both those positions. Thank you very much. I would tell you though, watching this, okay, Peter Jackson, someone needs to rein him in just a bit, because no one tells him that your movies are too long, and that your movies don't have to be in 3 parts. You can do them, just do a movie. I know he did The Lovely Bones, so I know he knows how to do a single show. He doesn't have to make a 3-part trilogy of every goddamn thing, for lack of a better word. This could have been a good 3-hour thing. I mean, I could see you could have cut 1 episode out of this and made the other 2 episodes perhaps an hour and a half instead of 2 hours or whatever, and that would have been a good mix. There was a lot of, like you said, a lot of minutia.
Yeah,
it was interesting to see the creative process. I mean, you look at that. In a month, they made basically an iconic album. Just kind of sitting around, just bullshitting and jamming. Next thing you know, someone comes in the next day with a handwritten thing. Hey, let's put this into this, and let's, and they start just riffing off each other. Next thing you know, you got "Let It Be," which is an iconic song. There was a lot of stuff that was really interesting. You didn't see Yoko Ono tearing everybody apart like
But there was
narrative's been for years
of that, and I thought that was interesting when they came in and start talking about that they had that meeting you didn't see on camera, but then it came back and Yoko was doing all the talking but she was really speaking for him,
for John, because John's quiet. Yes.
Yeah, I think he used her to express himself, but wouldn't have to be the one actually saying it. So I think you saw that, and I think you saw some of the George Harrison, being like, "Look, y'all not listening to me.
I'm tired of being number 3. I'd like to be, number 1.2 or 2.1. Let me be right up here in the songwriters." But it was very interesting to see the songwriting process going between McCartney and Lennon, because I mean, you want to talk about someone that's like one of the greatest musical writing teams ever since, Gilbert and Sullivan, or anything like that. I mean, these guys. Sure. Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, whatever. I mean, you get these iconic songs from these guys that are still played today, still known. All 3 of us. I mean, we're all old enough too that we all grew up with this.
But did it kind of like take the mystery out of? I mean, here I am thinking, "Let It Be." They're sitting around and it's this magical kind of moment, like you see like lightning bugs in the summertime. I mean, it was, to me, that's kind of, because it's such a beautiful, and then you see this and it's kind of like you see the sausage being made, they were took the kind of wind out of it for me a little bit. It's like, I didn't want to.
I guess maybe and even as a big fan, I'm not mythologizing these guys or anything like that. I knew they were all humans. They all had human, insecurities, frailties, whatever. And it was interesting to see them. I mean, watching the creative process was really fascinating, just to see how they came up with these songs that are iconic. I mean, came up with this really rough draft, and how about we do it like this? Let's change it like this. Next thing you know. And it was just interesting to see how good of musicians all those guys were, too. They were
I think Ringo doesn't get his due. Because
he does not.
Anytime they started playing, he came up with the right beat, that fit the song. And I was like, and then he was usually the voice of reason, because he wouldn't get involved in all the silly crap. He would just be like...
He was not, because the other 3 had, and 2 of them had definite chops for being the writer of the group, and George Harrison wrote some very good songs.
Beautiful.
But he wasn't the one who wrote the iconic songs. I mean, they're all iconic to at this point. But at the time, the ones that were the number 1 hits, the ones that were B-sides, that might have been George Harrison or something. But the number 1 hits was always Lennon and McCarthy. they were the two who got the writing credits because they were the main writers, even back in the beginning, all the way through the end of this show. But to see them, but Ringo was just, dude, I'm just happy to be here. I just want to help the team. He's just kind of doing his thing. He wrote 1 or 2 songs, but that was not his gig. He was here to just put a good beat to it, be a competent drummer and take a check.
And it was good to see.
And made
Billy
Caveman.
Preston.
Don't forget about the Caveman movie.
How can I forget about the Caveman?
Oh, don't talk about that. No.
The other thing
We've
I
got
really
to do
did
a retrospective on bad '80s flicks, man.
Well, but to get back, it was really interesting to see Billy Preston come in and play. And I didn't realize until my husband said something that he was the only other musician who got credit on the Beatles albums. Even Eric Clapton, they were like, "Yeah, we'll just get Eric Clapton to come in then." And I'm like,
that just tells you how big the Beatles were.
Super huge. I mean, this dude was everybody's dude. And they're like, we'll just get Eric Clapton to come in.
And come over and do it.
He never even got credit for the songs he played on for them, but Billy Preston did. And so I thought that was
the other thing I found fascinating was the fashion. Oh my God, the clothes were amazing. I'm just saying, just the rooftop concert, George Harrison in a fur coat with lime green pants. I was like, damn, that is some badass clothes. I'm just like, it was
the pink pants with the was it orange or blue shirt? I mean, it shouldn't have worked.
Dude, it was Austin Powers, baby. If you want to know where Austin Powers got his inspiration, watch that movie, and then you go, "Oh, I get it now. That makes total sense." Yeah.
And that's one of the best things about documentaries, where you're in you really are transported into that world. You see it as it was, how those folks were, and the fact that this one wasn't grainy black and white. We had color there. That really allowed you to kind of immerse yourself in it. So I think it is a great commentary about that.
Oh wow! I mean, you could tell that they had done some time to clean this stuff up too, because it was crisp, it was clear, it didn't feel over processed. So I mean, Peter Jackson. Say what you want about his lack of editing skills, the man knows how to put a technologically beautiful movie together.
Yeah, and it did give the music justice, because hearing all of those songs, hearing them come up with stuff, I could have done without, all the
3 hours of it.
Yeah. But to hear how they, they were like on which song? It may have been Let It Be or one of the songs. And at first they were playing, each person was singing something different. And then they said, no, let's do a harmony. And then it became the song we all know. And when they sang together, and it was like, wow, this is great. And to think they're in their 20s doing this. And
late 20s by that point, I'm thinking. Yeah.
Their level of musicianship and music theory and composition, I mean, it's just off the charts. And they really just are the GOATs. There's just no doubt. All of them, too. Not just one. Because if you took one of the persons out, it's not the Beatles. It's not the same.
To be honest, I think you could probably have replaced Ringo Starr with several different drummers, and it would have been just.
I don't know. I don't think you could, because
there was that fifth Beatle guy that they kicked out.
Yeah.
Who was
the fifth one. What's his group? I remember George somebody.
I forget his name. I remember
Martin or something like that. Yeah.
He didn't add anything. But
I'm just saying, you could have put another drummer, another competent drummer in there. Ringo Starr was very good at what he did, and that was to keep the beat and not get on top of everything else. He was a good, solid heartbeat drive to the thing, and I know that's a large part
but
of
think
the band.
about those songs without those beats, because I was listening to one of them, and I was like, "Oh yeah!" When he came in with this, he's like, "Oh, I'll do this," da 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 da, and then it made sense. The song made sense.
Music, you might be right.
I think you're not giving him credit for his musicianship.
I'm giving him credit for what he's got credit for. He was a good, competent drummer.
He's a great drummer.
He was a competent. I mean, anybody who's at that level is going to have a similar level of competency, as far as being able to
But that's
hold
kind
a
of
beat.
trashing on him.
No. I'm not trying to trash on him. He was one of the Fab Four. I mean, there's no way I'm going to give anything against Ringo. Ringo was good. Ringo was the right man at the right time. But I'm saying that there could have been 15 other guys who could have been the right man at the right time. I don't think there was 15 other Paul McCartneys or 15 other John Lennons. I'm going to tell you that pairing really changed the course of music history. Whereas the other guys were great to be a part of this, and they were obviously very much a part of it. But the essential portions of the Beatles, I would say,
but
three-fifths is going to be, 3/4 is going to be McCartney and Lennon, and maybe 3/16 is Lennon or Ringo, and George Harrison gets a little bit bigger than Ringo. George Harrison has some good songs,
but the innate characteristics. I think the point that was made earlier, though, how Ringo was kind of a calming influence.
Yeah,
you need that. I mean, that's because look at the Fab Five. We're talking about the Fab Four. I'll just use the Fab Five from Michigan. Everybody talks about Chris Webber. Well, there needed to be a Jimmy King out there too. And,
right. Yeah. No.
There was somebody who can just pass the ball and kind of meld in, and
kind of deflame the two creative forces. I mean, you've got two powerhouse creative forces, each one kind of vying at their musical vision and having to work through that to bring it all together. And I think Ringo does a good job of being that steady influence on it. And
as a bandmate,
stayed out of it,
As a bandmate, Ringo was the right guy at the right time. Yes, because he had a personality that was good. Technically, he could have been any drummer.
I don't know. I
we'll have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, we're going to disagree on.
But the ensemble cast made the Beatles who they were.
Yeah.
Yes.
As opposed to just, there was only one Elvis, and Buddy Holly had his crickets and lost early, but it was the four of them together making.
Oh yeah, I mean that is the thing that I feel sad for. Like when Lennon died, when Harrison died, those four guys were the only four that will ever experience what it was like to be a Beatle. It's like brothers. Your brother's the only other guy that ever grew up in that household with you at the same time in the same place. They have a unique set of shared experiences, and the Beatles, I mean, that's pretty damn unique throughout history. Pretty damn close. I'm just saying the level of stardom that they had. So
and when they said how old they were, like one of them was 14. One was 16, the other was 17, and
when
the
they
other
first got together and started playing in clubs. Yes,
I'm
like, how are they getting in clubs? First off, but whatever.
Yeah. England is wild. I mean, but I'm like, wow. And then 2 years later or 3 years later, they became the Beatles, and you could just see, when they showed the pictures of them. So I mean, they were babies. Out there doing interviews, and the whole controversy with them saying they were, as popular as Jesus or something. And that
thank you.
And at that age you say stupid stuff. When we were in our early 20s, who didn't say something real stupid that you didn't
Not
mean?
Me. Not me.
I know,
Never.
Of course I didn't ever, but some people did.
We may have it on tape, but
we don't have it on tape.
Are you pointing at Tony? Are you pointing at Tony off screen? Because I might buy that a little bit, but not me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Right.
But let me ask you guys this: favorite Beatles song? What's your favorite Beatles song?
Gosh. Don't ask me to go through the pantheon. I can tell you one that's going through my head is Let It Be.
Yeah.
And Get Back. I didn't realize Get Back was a protest song. They said they wanted to make it into a protest song. I thought that was interesting, but I like Let It Be. I do like Let It Be.
You know, I'd probably have to say
It's
Let
so
It Be.
deep, though.
Let It Be is just probably one of the. It's a goat. I mean, you know, the thing is, there's several of them that would be so close runner ups. You know, I loved Eleanor Rigby, Norwegian Wood. I like some of the weird stuff that they did. You know, and not just, you know, I Want to Hold Your Hand. You know, which is complete teen pop bubblegum pop at that particular point. But it's still epic. You know, it's still great music, great pop, long lasting. They're like the Beethoven or the Bach of of rock and roll right now, because their songs are still being remade, their songs are still being redone, just like Bach and Beethoven are hundreds of years later still being played. Will the Beatles be being played in 100 years? Maybe. Will the Rolling Stones again? Maybe. You know, there's certain people you got to think about who's going to last, who's not. You know, flash in the pan, had a really big song. You know, I don't know. You know, it's funny because I was thinking about modern analogous type of people who grew up so famous. I'm thinking, you know, and while I don't particularly like his music, I think about Justin Bieber being pushed into that fame at a similar age, and see how he handled it versus how the Beatles handled it. You know, it's kind of an interesting parallel.
Remember, he didn't have the social media. The Beatles didn't have the social media scrutiny. The Beatles, I'm sure the Beatles did all of that and more and worse. They didn't get reported on.
No camera phones.
No camera phones. You know, and I don't know. You know, people give Bieber a bad rap, but I don't know how I would act if I made $300 million and 16 years old and not allowed parental supervision.
How much stupid would I do?
Hanging out with grown men. Come on now.
You're gonna do stupid. You're gonna do stupid shit.
$50 and no parental supervision.
And here's the thing:
$100. I wouldn't know what to do.
Fun. It actually, he's got a good voice. There is nothing wrong though with bubblegum. This isn't quite bubblegum, but I'm all about their pop, their pop stuff. I Want to Hold Your Hand is probably my favorite, or kind of their little take that the Beach Boys back in the USSR, which I just think is a fantastic
solid.
song.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much. Like I said, it is really hard to pin down a great song, because for the most part, they're all great songs. I mean, it's like Prince. You listen to a Prince album, the damn thing is good front to end. Michael Jackson, good front to end, whether you liked him or not. But I mean, his music was solid. Same thing with the Beatles, front to back.
And I wish I'd prepared more, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees were, you know, they had the concert. It's on HBO Max. I think that's right. And the Go-Go's have made it in this time. Yeah. They've been lobbied forever. But Tina Turner is just now getting in. And I'm like, the F? Tina Turner is just now being inducted? That's a BS.
Well, it's probably because she hit her stride late. And has Bonnie Raitt made it in or not? I can't remember, because she's another one that made her stride
she's already
late.
Been inducted.
Yeah, she's in there.
Yeah.
Another one who made it late.
A long time ago, actually. Yeah. But Tina Turner, but the Go-Go's, when you think about the music is very central to that time in the 80s and 90s.
It is.
Right?
I mean, soundtrack.
It is. And will their music last the test of time? I don't know. But the fact that they were a surf garage band,
surf punk type of thing, yeah.
But their the writing and the hits, the hooks that they did just so easily. They have a great documentary on the Go-Go's too. Definitely check that out. I think it's amazing when you look back and listen to where they started and where they ended up. So, and it's the same thing with the Beatles. You know, I was glad they did that introduction of where they started and where they ended up. And to know that they were able to capture in this documentary their last live performance. I mean, who would have thought that little dumb rooftop thing would have been the very last time they all performed together.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Yeah. And so they were very fortunate to be able to be at the right place at the right time. So while it is super duper long and unnecessarily so, it's definitely something you can just speed through a bunch of the minutia crap and hone in on some of the things. You'll find something in there that you'll be like, oh, wow, I didn't know that.
It's great background TV, like you said, just something to have playing in the background. I mean, you can sit and focus on it for 6+ hours, but it's not bad to have it running just kind of, and then sit down when you're like, you know, having your coffee or something, just kind of have it playing in the background, listen to it. Solid. Yeah. I mean, you cannot go wrong with the Beatles, even if they're just, you know, goofing off in the studio trying to figure out how to write this song. It was amazing.
I was trying to look up to see, we'll come back to it, the inductees to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and see, but my Google's not working for some reason. Maybe Google's there.
Call your tech guy.
Yeah.
Here's your producer.
I know. And, but that's it for this week. You know, Pat and I were in a band together back in the day.
Oh, wow.
And so these kind of musical debates are not new to us.
No. And I'm still right and you're still wrong. So there we go.
I'm still right. I know he's just hard for him. It must be tough being so wrong all the time.
What did you play? What were your instruments?
Next week,
I played French horn and Pam played flute.
Yeah, and piccolo.
Clarinet. Yep. Okay, clarinet. Yes, clarinet. Sorry.
Yep.
And piccolo.
And you play clarinet, David?
No. I played a little bit of piano, but my piano instructor, he stopped coming because there was no hope. And there we go.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so next week we will watch Hawkeye 8-Bit Christmas with Neil Patrick Harris and the wild, weird Marvel entry Hit Monkey on Hulu.
Yes.
Man, it's going to be a wild week. Next week, come back. I think you will find that these are some interesting batch of films and TV shows. And so make sure you come and also check out my PJammaLyfe review of the ALDI Wine and Cheese Advent Calendars and 24 holiday movies. So today we did Love Heart. And so, but every day, come back and check it out. So, fellas, let's say goodnight to the people.
Good night, everybody. Y'all be safe.
Everybody take care. Look forward to seeing you next week. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Same Pat channel.
Oh!
Am I in charge now? What?
PJammaLyfe. Okay.
We'll see you. Take care. Bye.
So long, everybody.